Alright, so UFC 314, Volkanovski versus Diego Lopes just wrapped up, and that was a banger card. But more importantly, Volkanovski got the belt back at 36, which is a crazy achievement, and Silva absolutely dog-walked Bryce Mitchell. But before I start the recap, I'd appreciate if you guys could like and subscribe. If we hit 600 subs, I'll go bold in honor of Volk. But anyway, let me get into it. Now, starting off with the main event, Diego Lopes versus Alexander Volkanovski, okay? Before I get into either of these guys' performances, this fight was so good. Like, this absolutely deserved fight of the night and will probably be the best title fight of the year because it was so good, okay? The entire fight I was on edge. Volkanovski was piecing up Diego Lopes, and Diego Lopes seemed like he could knock out Volk at absolutely any moment. Just an absolute war, okay? Great performance from both guys. And I've never really been that big of a fan of Alexander Volkanovski, okay? I was rooting against him in both the Islam and Ilya fights. But when he won this belt, okay, I was so happy, bro, okay? Volkanovski looked incredible, okay? He almost looked like prime Volkanovski. Obviously, he's a bit older, and some people were saying that he's washed, but I really don't get how anyone could call him washed after that performance, okay? He looked really similar to his prime. His striking looked very elite, and his chin seems to have recovered, okay? Even though he got dropped by Diego Lopes a couple times, I mean, they were pretty good shots, and it's not like Volkanovski has always had this, like, iron chin, okay? He can just take any shot and he'll be completely fine. Like, bro, he was getting wobbled by Ortega's jab, but bro, he looked really good tonight, okay? I'm really impressed by his performance. I'm surprised he was able to come back so well after the Ilya KO and the Islam KO. However, I really think that he needs to fix that problem that he has where he just leans back and he just gets caught, because that seems to be like a recurring issue now in his fights, and I really don't want this to become like an Izzy or Leon problem where the game plan to beat a guy is just so obvious that they can just do it every single time. But apart from that, I think that Volk is good, okay? His striking looked very solid. He still looked completely fine even though he's 36. So I think that Volk can get a couple more fights in, but realistically, I don't think he can fight for like much longer. But yeah, I think at this point, Volkanovski's clearly the featherweight GOAT. It's like there's literally no argument about it, okay? 2-time champ at 36 as well, along with the resume and the title defenses. I think he's obviously surpassed Aldo at this point. And for his next fight, I really want to see him fight Movsar, okay? I don't think that's like a crazy fight or anything, but Movsar absolutely deserves it. And I'll get into Yair's bullshit call out later. But I think Movsar is obviously the next opponent. And as for Diego Lopes, I think he did really good. He kind of surprised me in this fight. I mean, I don't think anyone really thought that Diego Lopes' gas tank was going to survive as well as it did. Now, obviously not being as aggressive definitely helped Diego Lopes, but at the same time, I think he was really smart with it, because even though everyone was saying that he should have become more aggressive and really just tried to go out for Volkanovski, but I think that would have made absolutely no sense considering he was getting like rocked constantly. And I really think if he gassed himself out even earlier, he would have got finished in like the 4th or 5th round. So I don't get why anyone was saying that. But his chin obviously held up, but at the same time, Volk, like every single time he landed a good shot, Diego Lopes was like on the other side of the octagon. So yeah, I'm really glad that he stayed a bit more patient, because he showed a lot of skill and almost finished Volkanovski like twice. So I mean, he was just clearly the worst fighter that night, okay? He just was not as skilled as Volkanovski. I don't think there was any amount of just like going crazy that would have helped him win that fight, but he still did look very impressive, so I won't take much away from him because he did actually look really good in that fight. But I think that the Yair fight is probably the most obvious next step for him. I mean, it's the fight that everybody wants to see right now, so I think that's what they should do next. Now, as for Silva versus Bryce Mitchell, before I even get into the actual fight, if you picked Bryce Mitchell, you are genuinely brain dead, okay? Because either one of two things happened, okay? Either you didn't really do a lot of research into the fight and Bryce Mitchell versus Silva, you know, you kind of thought that Bryce Mitchell, because he's such a good grappler, he'd take him down, which, you know, it's fair enough, okay? Bryce Mitchell is a pretty good grappler, but he doesn't really have a lot of finishes on his record, and it would have been pretty unlikely for him to finish Silva even if he did get him down. But if you pick Bryce Mitchell because of his one-liners and his quotes before the fight, like, you're genuinely on the same wavelength as a person who would fall for like those Nigerian prince emails, bro. Like the same kind of people who are getting caught lacking by those Indian scam calls.
Here's what I say about him hailing Hitler, hailing the Nazis. I really don't think that he was, because I honestly think that Hitler was a good guy based upon my own research, not my public education indoctrination. I really do think before Hitler got on meth, he was a guy to go fishing with.
Like, seriously, how is that a guy that you are rooting for? That is genuinely insane to me how anyone was actually on this guy's side and wanted him to win, bro. But anyway, as expected, Silva absolutely dog-walked Bryce Mitchell, like probably way worse than anyone actually thought, to be honest. Like, I was expecting Silva to just catch Bryce Mitchell before he could actually do anything, but to submit him with a ninja choke after knocking him down and stuffing every single takedown is probably the best performance Silva could have had. And you know what? In round 1, I was kind of scared because Bryce Mitchell was having some success. Even though he lost round 1 every single scorecard, Bryce Mitchell actually did look decent and Silva was kind of being patient. But round 2, I don't know what it was. Bryce like looked completely gassed. He looked completely finished, and Silva, I think it was pretty clear that round 1 he was just like messing around or something, or just trying to figure out Bryce's timings, but he was basically doing nothing. But in round 2, it was clear that it was just over for Bryce Mitchell, okay? Silva had him in that guillotine in round 1, had him in another guillotine I think in round 2, knocked him down as well pretty bad. I mean, I think at this point it's pretty clear that Silva is going to be a future champion at some point. I mean, he did it in a way more impressive way than Ilia Topuria did. And I've been on a Gene Silva bandwagon since day one, so I'm really impressed with him and I'm really excited for the future of his career. Hopefully get someone good next. Now I'm kind of just gonna bundle up like the Paddy Pimblett fight and the Yair fight because I didn't really care too much about it. I don't think they were like great fights or anything. Now Paddy Pimblett versus Michael Chandler. Michael Chandler looked like complete dog shit, and Paddy Pimblett, he looked pretty good, but his style looks really awkward. He kind of looks like a Dricus du Plessis. I mean, I guess it was a pretty good win. You know, Michael Chandler is a decent opponent, but like, I don't know what it is with Paddy Pimblett. He just like, he doesn't really have any aura. Like, I don't really care when he fights. Like, I know he's supposed to be like this huge star right now, but he's really not that entertaining, and like his skills on the mic, I think, are really carrying him, because as good as the guy is, like realistically, he's really not that entertaining, and he's not that deserving of like the Michael Chandlers and all these like layup fights that he's getting. Now for Yair Rodriguez versus Patricio Pitbull, I mean, this fight was fine. Okay, Pitbull didn't really look exactly like great or anything. I was kind of hoping he'd catch him with like a big meaty overhand, but nothing really happened in this fight outside of like that one knockdown that Yair got, and even then, like, it was really exciting, but nothing really happened with it. Like, the most interesting thing that came out of this fight was Yair Rodriguez saying that he's gonna get a title shot off that performance. Like, if he's being serious, I think that's probably the worst thing for the featherweight division, and it makes absolutely no sense. He does not deserve it at all. Now, Nikita Krylov versus Dominic Reyes. I mean, I don't think a single person on this planet genuinely saw that coming. Okay, Dominic Reyes has been on a really fraudulent win streak. Like, he beat Dustin Jacoby, which isn't a terrible win, but then he beat Anthony Smith. Anthony Smith was literally crying before the fight was happening, okay? And inside the fight, he was saying, "I want to feel something." That is not a good win, okay? I'm sorry. Anthony Smith was a terrible win for Dominic Reyes. So I really did not expect in the slightest that Dominic Reyes was just gonna absolutely sleep Nikita Krylov like this guy was like Conor or O'Malley or something, okay? That was like the most perfect, I think it was like a right hand or a left hand, like it was perfect. And seriously, Dominic Reyes is like a real contender now at light heavyweight, instead of just kind of being like a meme contender and everyone just wants him to win, but he's not actually that good. Like, seriously, I can't believe that Dominic Reyes is about to be top 5 again. Now, as for Dan Ige versus Sean Woodson, okay, people have been saying that that was a very early stoppage, and I absolutely agree. However, I'm not mad at that stoppage at all, okay? Dan Ige was like up on every single scorecard, like 2-0. He's gonna win anyway, and I genuinely don't know how every single judge had Dan Ige winning that fight. I thought that Sean Woodson was winning, and had Sean Woodson survived, I feel like that would have been one of the most like brutal robberies in like recent memory, okay? I feel like people would have been even more upset if Sean Woodson just got absolutely robbed rather than this early stoppage, which, yeah, people are mad, but they're not as mad. And on top of that, I think the stoppage was gonna come anyway. I mean, the guy was like shooting the most desperate takedown ever, okay? Sean Woodson never shoots takedowns, and now he's shooting a double leg, so I'm really not that mad at that stoppage, considering Dan Ige was probably going to finish him anyway, and that ref probably just saved him from a bunch of brain damage. And then Chase Hooper versus Jim Miller. I actually don't have much to say on this fight. This fight was very boring, but shout out to Chase Hooper for gooning. Now, Julian Erosa versus Darren Elkins was probably one of the most saddest fights I've ever watched in my life. I mean, that fight probably should have been stopped like 5 minutes, like just, it should have been stopped before the fight even happened, okay? Darren Elkins should not even have ever stepped in the cage if that's how bad he looked, okay? There's no way he looked like, you know, Anderson Silva or something. This guy looked like Alex Pereira in the training room. He was looking like Marab in the training room. Like, I really doubt that was even the case, okay? If he ever looked that bad in training, I don't know why they would let him step in the cage, okay? He looked terrible from the moment he entered the fight. It was not like before he was like, "Bro, Darren Elkins, man, this guy is so good." Like, no, bro. He looked terrible from the second the fight started, and yet they just let him continue. Who is this guy's corner? Genuinely, I would fire these guys because he looked like shit. That guy genuinely needs to retire as soon as possible. I've never been so mad watching a fight because he looked so slow. He didn't look skilled at all. He looked absolutely terrible. He looked so old in that fight. Like, genuinely looked like Erosa was fighting a dinosaur, bro. Erosa just like, he was just like being so patient because he just didn't want to kill Darren Elkins in the cage. I don't know who this guy's coaches are. I don't know who his camp is. I don't know who his family is. But they need to lock in and just like tell this guy he needs to retire because he is cooked. There is a point where you're just so old that you're just terrible. And this is the point, okay? I don't know why Elkins is even allowed to fight at this point. Because again, if you just look at that fight, before anything even happened to him, okay, before the upkick, he looked so slow. He didn't look like he was ready to fight at all. He looked like he took the fight at like 1 second notice. And immediately afterwards, he didn't even retire. I couldn't even believe it that he still had his gloves on, bro. Because after a performance like that, you should just retire. Just hang the gloves up. It's done, bro. There's really nothing more you can do. You're clearly too old to fight. And the last fight I want to talk about is Marco Tulio versus Tresean Gore. Okay, that fight was just insane. Okay, Marco Tulio, like that fight was probably fight of the year in my opinion. Because that was just absolute crazy from start to finish. Both guys just rocking each other, but bro, Marco Tulio is like the next evolution of striker, bro. This guy is so good. Holy, like, I know he's getting caught a bit, but like, bro, he's still fairly early in his career. I swear, if this guy evolves even more, Like, I've genuinely never been more impressed with the guy's performance, okay? The combos that this guy was throwing was so crazy, okay? The finishing combination was like a crane kick into a straight. How on earth do you even do that, bro? How do you do that in a real fight and actually knock the guy out is insane to me, bro. Okay, Marco Tulio is genuinely, like, this guy deserves all the glaze, okay? I don't know how he didn't win a bonus. That is insane to me because he probably had, like, the best performance out of anyone. Definitely better than Paddy Pimblett. But yeah, I'm really excited for that guy's future, but that's all I want to talk about this card, okay? This was a really solid card that, you know, I even wanted to do a recap for it because I haven't done a recap in a while. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching, like, subscribe. Alright.
Finna take that lounge truck to Japan. I like the nigga, get your bands up. Yes, she can.